Thanks for joining us here today. My name is Jan Davis. I'm going to be your host for our seminar today on maximizing your Social Security benefits. And I'm very, very glad you're joining us here today. And I know that before we're through here today, you're going to be very, very glad that you're joining us too, because this is such a very important decision. And surprisingly, most Americans are not concerned about this decision. They're not spending enough time and study and effort to learn how to get more out of their Social Security benefits. And believe it or not, Americans are leaving over $10 billion a year unclaimed in their Social Security benefits. And we don't want that to happen to you. So we're so glad you're going to be with us here today. And again, my name is Jan Davis, and we're going to jump into the presentation here. So let's go ahead and get you switched over to our PowerPoint presentation, and we'll get going. All right. So Social Security is a very, very important decision. As we mentioned, I have 25 years experience, actually close to 26 years now in financial services and insurance. And we've been doing Social Security planning intensely for about the last 5 years. So we have a lot of experience in this area. We help people save their money for retirement, and we're also trying to help people figure out how to get the most out of their benefits when they retire. And it's kind of interesting how we all get started with our Social Security situation. My story is I've been doing financial planning for a long, long time and showing people how to save their money, how to build up money for retirement. And my attitude towards Social Security was, and you also have some Social Security benefits, and they'll help out as well. And until I sat down a few years ago and started taking a look at my own Social Security benefits, I didn't realize how complicated this is. It's extremely complicated. There's very, very few people that can sit down on their own and plan this out and figure this out on their own. And this target here is our logo. And this is just to remind everyone that you get one chance to throw that dart at the target. And if you don't hit the target in the middle, you're going to be stuck with a lower benefit than you could get. So it's very important for you to let us help you direct that target right, or that dart right to the middle of the target, so you've got everything that you need and can get the most out of your benefits. So let's get into talking about some things here. Okay, hold on just a minute. Let me get the presentation up and going here. Okay. So your situation is, I'm assuming that you're thinking about retiring, or you have recently retired. And you're also asking yourself questions like, when can I retire? Do I have enough money to retire on? When's the best time to start my benefits? And what's the best manner to receive my benefits? And then a big question a lot of people have is, how do I start my benefits? And can I work while I'm receiving my Social Security? Is that a good idea or a bad idea? And taxes are also a major consideration as well. Social Security benefits can be taxed, so you need to take that into consideration. And spouse considerations are very important as well. If you have a married couple, if one person is going to live a lot longer than the other person, you definitely have to take into consideration the person is going to live the longest and trying to get the most out of the benefits for them, because they may be on their own. Sometimes people are on their own for 20, 30 years at a time. So definitely this is not a single person decision. If you're married, this has to be a joint decision. You both need to sit down and talk about this and go over these things. Some interesting facts when we're talking about a retirement is pension plans in 1983, 62% of American companies offered pension plans. In the year 2010, that had dropped to 17%. Now, also 76% of Americans plan to work past 65, so we're working longer. And if you reach age 62, on average, men are going to live to be age 85. Women will generally live to age 88. And if you're a 62-year-old couple, you're both 62, there's a 50% chance that one of you will live to age 92. So basically what we're saying here is we're living a lot longer, we're working a little bit longer, but we're living a lot longer, and we're pretty much on our own as far as our savings for retirement. So Social Security is an extremely important part of our retirement benefits. And a question that we get all the time is, well, I'm going to sign up for my Social Security and take those benefits right away because it's not going to be around. I've heard stories and in the news that it's going bankrupt. And what am I going to do? Well, actually, as it stands today, if there's no changes in Social Security, it's estimated that benefits are going to run until the year 2037. And then after that, the collected receipts from income taxes would be able to pay 75% of the current benefits through the year 2086. So you can see that it's not going anywhere. Now, changes are going to have to be made in Social Security, and they will be made. But generally, all legislation that I personally have seen, generally they're grandfathering anybody over the age of 55. So people that are collecting Social Security starting soon in the next few years, you're going to be pretty much on, almost guaranteed you're going to be on the same plan through the rest of your life. Younger people, it's going to have to change for them. So if people are claiming their Social Security benefits early because they think the system is going broke, that's not a good decision to make. That's a poor reason to start your benefits early. Now, some people should start their benefits early, but most people shouldn't. And some of the common mistakes that people make about Social Security is many people, I should say most people, I don't know what percentages are, but extremely high percentage of people start their benefits without any advice or guidance. And we're not talking about your mailman, your plumber, or your garbage collector. Their advice doesn't count, okay? We're talking about good advice. You need a good advisor. Now, the sad thing is there's not very many advisors that have the training, the knowledge, or the resources to help you with your Social Security benefits. And most people are unaware of the magnitude or the impact of this decision. And for a lot of Americans, their Social Security benefits are their largest financial asset. And one big problem we're seeing is that 77% of Americans are starting their benefits before they reach full retirement age. And because of that, billions of dollars, as I mentioned a minute ago, they estimate around $10 billion in benefits are going unclaimed every year. And a lot of people are thinking, well, I'll just pop into the Social Security office and the Social Security reps will be able to help me. But they're actually not allowed to give you advice, even if they're asked. And to be honest with you, I'll show you some examples here in a few minutes. That's not a wise decision to go in and ask them for advice. Their job is to sign you up for Social Security today. If you go in today, their job is to sign you up for benefits today. So they don't really offer much in the way of advice. So when are Americans filing for Social Security? Well, if we look at age 62, about 48%, this is according to the US News, at age 62, 48% of Americans are claiming their benefits. It's almost half of us are starting at age 62. By age 65, 77% have claimed their benefits. Now, full retirement age is the age at which you get your full Social Security benefit, age 66. So we're going to talk about that some more. That is your full retirement age for most people. Now, that does change. People born in 1955 and older, this extends out a little bit further, 2 months at a time over the next few years until it goes up to age 67. But for most of us that we're talking to right now, 66 is their full retirement age. So remember, full retirement age, or FRA, very important terms to remember. So by age 66, 93% of Americans are claiming their benefits. Now, benefits do continue to increase in value and what you would receive up to age 70, but you can see, almost all of us have claimed their benefits by age 66. So what's the consequence of an early election? Again, we talked and said that 77% of the retirees begin their benefits before they reach full retirement age, which remember we said was 66. So if you start your benefits at age 62, how much of a pay cut are you going to take versus your age 66 full retirement age? It would be 5%, 10%, 15%, 25%? It's actually 25%. You take a 25% pay cut if you start your benefits at age 62 versus age 66. Here, this gives you the numbers here. If someone at age 66, their full retirement benefit is $24.66 a month, now this is a monthly benefit. If you start that benefit at age 62, it's $18.50. So you can see that's a pretty good drop, 25% drop. However, if you continue to wait, you can see if you wait till age 70, your benefit goes up to $3,255. It's just another chart that shows the same things, but you can see how the benefits continually go up every year you wait. Now, what's interesting, between the age 66 and the age 70, your benefits are going up 8% a year. So if you wait another 4 years, your benefits will actually increase 32% more. So if you wait, this particular person here, if you wait from 62 to 66, their monthly payment is going to increase by $616 a month. If they wait to age 70, their payment will go up $1,400 a month, or that's 76% increase every month for the rest of their lives. But now we're making it sound like, or I'm making it sound like people don't or should not start their benefits early. That's not true. Some people should start their benefits early. Not as many as we do, not 47%. My estimations is it should be closer, maybe 10 or 15% should start their benefits early. But here's an example of someone who should have started their benefits early. So we're going to be talking today a lot about Dick and Jane. And you probably remember those names from our learning to read books when we were in grade school. Well, they've both grown up now and they're both nearing retirement. Well, this Dick and Jane here, and a lot of these cases are actual cases and clients that we worked with. This is a client that I met with earlier this year. Dick is age 63, Jane is age 62. Dick has had a kidney transplant. He's about 12 years into it. He's showing signs that he might need another one. Anyway, his life expectancy is a lot shorter than Jane's. His is 78, hers is 91. Dick still plans on continuing to work, though, until age 68 or 70, and his benefits will be pretty good. He's going to have a good Social Security benefit when he retires. Jane has always kind of worked part-time. Right now, she's working part-time. She's making about $10,000 a year. Her benefit will be much smaller than Dick's. So what's the best thing for them to do at this point? And by the way, get out your pencil and paper and take notes. We have to go through these things fairly quickly to get through everything, but jot down some notes. Well, should they wait until they retire to claim? No, actually, we feel like she should start her benefits now. In fact, she should have started in June 2014 when she turned 62. She actually didn't apply until March of this year. Her benefit now is $763 a month, but because she waited those 8 months before she started benefits, she lost almost $7,000 in benefits by waiting. She should have started her benefits earlier. So this is a case of someone who should start their benefits early. So picking a date to start your Social Security, that's a very complex decision. There's a lot of factors involved. You know, your health, how long do you expect to live, what's your need for income? I mean, there's a lot of people when they hit age 62, they have to have money right now, and there's nothing we can do about it. They need to start their benefits. I mean, if that's the case, if you have to start them, you have to start them. But you need to consider other things too, like, do you plan to continue working? What about taxes? How are they going to affect my benefit? And do you have any other retirement income? That's something that we need to really talk about when we're consulting with people, is other retirement income. Do you have other money in 401k benefits? Do you have money saved in IRAs? Do you have other savings, other assets? Because a lot of times it's more important to maybe use those in your early years of retirement, let your Social Security benefits continue to grow. But we spend a lot of time working with people on their saving for retirement, so we know what we're doing in this area. So Social Security is actually a part of the overall picture. And we also want to protect the lowest income earner and make sure that their benefits are going to be adequate for the rest of their life. Now, when one spouse dies, we're just going to throw out some random figures here and information for you. The surviving spouse does receive a benefit. Whether that surviving spouse has earned any benefits or not, the higher of the two benefits, of their personal benefit or the widow or the person that passed away, the benefit, they're going to look at both those benefits and you're going to get the higher benefit. So if the primary wage earner, the one who makes the most money, dies, the surviving spouse contacts Social Security and replaces their benefit with a benefit from the higher wage earner. If the secondary wage earner dies, then the primary wage earner just continues to receive their benefit. Now you have to remember, if you're a married couple, if one of you dies, you're not going to continue to receive both benefits you're just going to receive the higher benefit. But that's been a great blessing to a lot of couples where maybe the wife has stayed home with the children, hasn't made a lot of money in her lifetime. It's really a benefit to her to know that she can assume her husband's benefit when he dies. That's an example, a case that we've seen several times. So some points to consider when you're applying for your Social Security. Like we talked about earlier, one of the main things is you have to remember that if you start your benefits early, your benefits stay lower. They start lower and they stay lower for the rest of your life. And sometimes you think, well, maybe I can change it later on. Actually, you can make one change in your Social Security benefits. However, it has to be done in the first 12 months after you file, and you have to pay back any benefits you've earned during that time. So if somebody's receiving maybe a $2,000 a month benefit for 10 or 11 months, sometimes that's hard to dig up $20,000 or $30,000 to pay back and start over. But so you want to make sure you make that decision properly right at the beginning. Now, one thing that most people don't consider is cost of living adjustments. Social Security over the last 30 years has averaged about a 2.7% increase on their benefits every year. Now, there's some years where they pay less, there's some years when they pay a little bit more. But if you start a benefit where you're earning $1,000 a month versus somebody who's maybe earning $500 a month, if you get a 3% raise, the person with a $1,000 a month benefit is going to be a bigger raise than the person with a $500 a month benefit. And then that's just going to compound over and over and over again. It can make a huge difference 20 or 30 years down the road in between the two benefits. And most people just don't consider that. It's a very, very important thing to consider. Your decision of when to begin is going to impact your spouse. Again, like I said earlier, you really need to make this a spousal decision if you're married, because it's going to affect both of you. So many times I'll hear somebody say, well, I'm going to retire, I'm just going to start my benefit. You can't do that. You have to sit down as a couple and plan this out together, because there's techniques and things you can do to make that benefit bigger and last longer. But you have to work together on it. And like I mentioned here, once you begin, you have 12 months to change your mind. But let's make the right decision the first time. Let's hit this target dead center right at the start. Now, what happens if you continue to work? I mean, a lot of us are working past age 65. My father's generation, everybody retired at 65. No, it was unheard of for somebody to work into their 70s. But more and more of us in our generation, we're working longer. So some things to remember is if you are going to continue working until you reach age 66, Social Security is going to apply something called an annual earnings test on what you're earning. And what that test is if you earn over $15,720, for every $2 you earn over that, they're going to keep back $1 in benefits. And they're going to keep 50% of your benefits until you reach $41,880 in earnings. Then after that, they'll keep $1 for every $3 in Social Security earnings. So if you're working and you're filing for your Social Security benefits, it might not be a wise idea to do that. It still might be a good idea, but for most people it's not. Now, you don't lose that money forever, because they do make some adjustments when you hit full retirement age and you do file after that point. But you never catch up to what you lost during this time. You still never quite catch up. So you have to be aware that sometimes you can file for Social Security benefits and you're still not going to get very much if you're working. But don't let this discourage you from working. If you want to work, then stay with it. Keep working. There's a lot of satisfaction, especially if you have a job that you're enjoying. Keep working and just delay the Social Security benefits. Now, our benefits do get taxed as well. Just to give you an idea here, if you're married filing jointly, if you earn under $32,000, there's no Social Security tax. If you're earning between $32,000 and $44,000, half of your Social Security will be taxed. It's figured into your income and taxed. If you earn over $44,000, then 85% of your Social Security income would be taxed. And here's the numbers for a single head of household. So you have to be aware that the taxes are there and they're never going away. The annual earnings test, that drops off when you reach age 66, but the taxes will be there as long as you're receiving benefits. So again, it's wise to take an overall plan, figure Social Security into things like maybe your 401k, IRAs, other earnings, and try to adjust those so that you can try and reduce taxes as much as you can. So we're going to talk about some strategies for claiming your Social Security, give you some ideas. So again, get out your pencil and paper and maybe take down some notes. And some of these cases, a lot of these cases here are ones that we've actually used with different clients. Some say that there are 567 ways to claim your Social Security benefits. I've heard others say there's over 1,300 ways to claim your Social Security benefits. And that's not an exaggeration. After working in this field for a number of years, there are so many different combinations of ways, it's impossible for a normal person to sit down and figure this out on their own. Social Security actually has 2,728 rules for claiming their benefits. So this is a very complex and difficult decision. Now let's talk about some of the factors to consider when you're going to be claiming your Social Security. Well, first of all, you have to consider your age. You can start taking benefits at 62. Or you can wait till you're 63, 64, 65, all the way up to age 70. And not just for you, but also your spouse. Maybe you want to start your benefits at one age, your spouse wants to take benefits at another age. So there's, just numerous combinations of ways you can take it based on your ages. How many different kinds of options are there? Well, here's just a few of them. We have to consider what your benefits are, what's your health, what about your spouse's benefits? What are your life expectancies? What about survivor benefits? Are you going to work? Have you been divorced ever? Are you divorced now? What about taxes? How are they going to affect it? Bottom line is, how much money are you going to end up with in your pocket? What about the earnings test if I'm going to keep working? Should I file and suspend? We definitely want to protect the lower wage earner. What about a restricted application? Should I be using that? And how does my IRA, my 401k, and other investments figure into this? Okay, these are things for just one person. Now you take a couple, or maybe somebody who's been widowed or divorced, and you can just multiply the different combinations of ways that you can start your benefits. And sometimes how you set this up, and this is not exaggeration, it can cost you somewhere between $200,000 to $300,000 if you don't set up your benefits properly throughout your lifetime. Okay, here's a strategy that we commonly use. It's used quite often. And what's interesting is still less than 4% of Americans use this strategy. So most people are not using this. You're going to look at this and say, well, why not? This is a great idea. Okay, we're back to talking about Dick and Jane. They're both 66. Dick's primary insurance amount, this is the amount of money he receives at age 66, is $2,000. Jane's at age 66 is $800. Okay, so Dick wants to delay his benefit to age 70. He wants to let his keep growing. Jane wants to take her spousal benefit right now. So she wants to take her spousal benefit off Dick. So Dick does what we call a file and suspend. So he goes into Social Security either in the office or online, and he files for his benefits, and then he immediately suspends them. That allows his benefit to keep growing. But now it's opened the door, it's set up the account, so now Jane can go in and claim a spousal benefit off of Dick's benefit. So now Jane is going to be earning $1,000 a month on a spousal benefit while Dick's keeps growing. You have to wait until full retirement age, or in their case, age 66, before you can do this type of filing. Again, age also determines when you can and can't do some things. Okay, here's another strategy. Same situation, Dick and Jane. They're both age 66. Again, they have the same benefits. Now, Jane's going to go ahead and file for her benefit age 66. Now, why would she do that? She's only going to get $800 a month. The previous example is a spousal benefit. She was going to get $1,000 a month. But she's going to file for her benefit at age 66. Okay. The reason is because now Dick is going to file for his spousal benefit at the same time, and he's going to begin collecting half of Jane's primary insurance amount of $400. So now Jane's getting $800, Dick is getting $400. Now they're getting $1,200 a month rather than $1,000. So many times we see people in a situation where the wife goes in, just files for her benefit $800, and Dick doesn't do anything because he wants his benefit to grow, and they're losing out on somewhere between $200 to $400 a month simply by filing a little bit differently. Now when Dick hits age 70, his benefit is going to be going from $2,000 up to $2,640 a month. Again, you have to wait until full retirement age before you can do this particular type of filing. But you can see by making adjustments, knowing the rules, and setting things up properly, you can definitely earn a lot of money, a lot more money. Okay, a lot of people are divorced. And it's surprising to me what a low percentage of people that have been divorced realize that there's actually a divorce Social Security benefit. Now, to receive a benefit from your spouse, you have to have been married for 10 years, divorced for 2 years, not remarried, with a possible exception if your ex is dead. Your ex has to be over age 62. You have to be over 60 if your ex is dead, or 62. There's more options if the claimant is over, if you're over age 66, in other words. And the interesting thing is there's no effect on your ex's benefits. And the ex does not need to file first. In fact, they're not even notified. So it doesn't affect them, but you can go in and take the equivalent of a spousal benefit off of an ex-husband or an ex-wife. Here's an example of a client that we worked with recently. Jane, age 62. She contacted me because she was thinking about retiring. She's getting very tired of work and wants to retire, but her Social Security benefit is only about $700 or $800 a month. And excuse me, I'm getting a little choked up in the throat here. Let me get a drink and solve that. But right now she's making about $35,000 a year. Her Social Security benefit's only going to be about $700 or $800 a month. Well, come to find out, I told her, well, have you ever been divorced? She said, yes. I was married for 20 years. I've been divorced for 20 years. And I never remarried, so she's still single. And his income during his lifetime has been somewhere between $150,000 to $250,000 a year. So at age 62, she can go in and claim a divorce benefit and earn about half of his Social Security benefit. So now instead of getting $700 or $800 a month, now she's going to be getting a benefit of about $1,600 a month. That's a huge benefit to her. She was extremely excited to find out that she's going to be able to earn about $1,000 a month more in Social Security benefits than she would have otherwise, and she was totally unaware of her ability to do that. Now here's another type of filing. This is a particular problem that can come up with, excuse me for just a second. Age 66 is kind of a magical age where the door opens up for a lot of other things you can do. But in this situation here, Dick is age 65 and Jane is age 61. His birthday's in January, her birthday's in February. He doesn't want to start his benefits. He wants to allow them to keep growing. But she wants to start her own benefits and later on switch to a spousal benefit. That way she'll get more out of it. She'll start with a lower benefit now, bigger benefit later on. And this is a situation that happens quite often now. They're now the guardians for 2 of their grandchildren. And the grandchildren are eligible for Social Security benefits. And sometimes those Social Security benefits for grandchildren, if you're a guardian for some, can be quite significant. So when Dick files for his benefits, then the grandkids can start getting their benefits. So he can file and suspend. So if Dick goes ahead in January, when he turns 66, he can file and suspend. Jane has to take spousal benefits because Dick filed before her. her own benefits are not available. So she's now locked into a lower term income for the rest of her life. But if Dick had waited until Jane filed for her benefits and then files and suspends his in March, now Jane can do what she wants. She can start with her own benefits and take spousal benefit later. So simply by Dick waiting from January until March, waiting until Jane files first, now Jane is able to set up her benefits the way she wants. So you have to be very careful about how you set up your benefits, because you can be restricted. This is called a deemed filing. In cases like this, when you go in, Social Security just deems that you're filing for the highest benefit available at the moment, and they give that to you, and you have no choice. You cannot request the other one. They automatically give that to you, and you cannot change it. So, and when you go in to file for your benefits, if you go into the Social Security office and ask them questions like this, they really won't explain these things to you. They'll just say, well, why don't you go ahead and file, Dick, and Jane, you go ahead and file next month for yours, and you lose out on a lot. So you have to be very careful about the timing of when you file. So how do you apply for your Social Security? Well, we used to say it was best to apply in person, but not anymore. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that, reason for that in just a minute. But you have to be careful when you go in. Social Security gets 850,000 visitors per week in their offices. And you can call ahead to schedule an interview, but again, be ready to be on hold, because they get 68 million calls per year. But if you do want to call in and schedule an appointment, the best days to call are on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. They're a little bit less. They're very busy on Mondays and Fridays. And if you want to jot down the number here, here's the number for the Social Security Administration, 800-772-1213. But we recommend that you, especially if you work with us, you'll have things lined out where we can tell you exactly when you should file, how you should file, and the terminology you should do it. You can actually just go on the website and file much easier. And you'll actually have a lot less problems if you do that. Now, the reason we're encouraging people to file online, this is a case that we had a couple of years ago. Dick at the time was 65, Jane was 62. Dick's had some heart problems. His life expectancy is about 75. Jane is in great health. She's going to live to age 95. I told her, I'm sorry you're going to be living that long. That's a long time to live. I don't think I want to live that long, but she's very healthy, going to live a long time. Some other things to consider in talking with Dick and Jane is Dick hates his job. He can't wait to get out of there. But he's concerned about health insurance for her. Well, he's not actually concerned, but she needs to have health insurance, which she gets through her work. He is now on Medicare. But the big consideration here is this point here. Jane's going to live for 23 years on her own after Dick dies, according to statistics. Well, what we recommended was for Jane to go ahead and file for her benefits, even though she's still working, and she's going to keep working until she's 66. File for her benefits. Her benefits are $1,700 a month. I remember we talked about the annual earnings test earlier. Because she's working, she's not going to be able to keep very much of this money. They're going to keep a lot of that, and it's going to be taxed. But because of that, now Dick can take a spousal benefit, and he can take a benefit of $800 a month. That's what he needs to be able to go in and quit work. So he quits work. He's thrilled. He's happy. He's a biker. He had tears in his eyes and he wanted to kiss me, but I didn't let him. But he also doesn't want to be sitting home all the time. He wants to work on his bikes a lot and ride his bikes, but he's going to take a job at Home Depot working 2 days a week. He's going to be collecting $9,600 a year from Social Security, plus a little bit from Home Depot. He's got enough money to get by on. So he's thrilled to death. Jane's going to keep working till she's 66. She's going to get health insurance till then. Then she's going to switch over to Medicare. She wants to let her benefit grow to 66, which will be $1,700 a month at that point. Her husband, when her husband dies, then she can take over the survivor benefit. The key to this is we're allowing his benefit to keep growing until he hits age 70. His benefit at age 70 is going to be $3,000 a month. So we're protecting her because she's going to be on her own for 23 years. We're getting her a good benefit. And we're also allowing him to quit work where he has expected life expectancy of about 10 years, get out and do some fun things for the next 10 years. Well, they also have some money in a 401k, about $200,000. So if they do need some additional money to let his benefit keep growing, they can let that go because his benefit, remember, is growing at 8% a year. So I talk to them, remind them they need to go down to the Social Security office and file. I tell them to call me back after they go down and let me know how it goes. So they have their appointment, they go in. It's about 3 weeks later, it's dawning on me that I haven't heard back from Dick and Jane, and I'm wondering how things went. So I call them up. Now remember, they paid me to help advise them on how to do this. I call them up and I say, how did it go? And they say, well, we went into the Social Security office, and the officer there told us that we could not file that way, so we can't do it. We couldn't do that. He told us to file for Dick's benefits and let mine keep growing. So that's what we did. We filed for Dick's benefits. Well, that kills everything. That doesn't allow his benefit to keep growing. It doesn't protect her down the road. So there was an icy wall built between us now because now they didn't trust me. They thought I'd given them bad advice. So I asked them to set another appointment, and I would go with them to the appointment. Well, they set an appointment for a couple weeks later, and I went in with them. And they were there a few minutes before me. And the officer there told them again, once again, they could not file that way. They couldn't change it back to this way, and they just couldn't do it. So I went in and sat down with him, and I started talking to him, and he did agree that she could file for her benefits, although it doesn't make any sense because she's not going to be able to keep very much of that money, if any. And I said, well, let's do this. And he said, well, I don't know if we can really do this. Let me go talk to my supervisor. So he left, went into a back room for about 5 minutes, and came back in, sat down, and says, well, I guess we can do it, but that's highly unusual. And he was not happy about setting it up that way, but we finally got it set up the right way. So you have to be very careful when you go in to the Social Security office. Make sure you have your plan written out, knowing exactly what you want to do. Otherwise, you might be steered into doing something that's not the best thing for you. Okay, here's another big mistake that one of our clients made. Again, this Dick and Jane. When I started talking to him, he's 65 and she's 62. He's going to live to about age 80. She's going to live to about age 90. Now, Jane has worked most of her life, but she worked in a family restaurant, and they paid her under the table, so she hasn't been paying into Social Security. So she has very, very little Social Security benefit, maybe $200 or $300 a month, something like that. She's still working. She's never paid on her Social Security. Well, Dick filed a year ago. He's still working, and he filed a year ago because people were telling him Social Security is going bankrupt. You need to file. So he filed. Well, he's making pretty good money. So he's filed. He's collecting almost nothing, and he's also locked in his benefits at age 64. So the sad thing here is when he passes away and Jane takes over his benefit or takes a spousal benefit off of that, it's just going to be, it's sad. They're just not, they've left, to be honest with you, they probably left $200,000 or $300,000 on the table by him filing early. They filed too early to stop the growth in his benefits. They reduced her spousal benefit and her survivor benefit. It's condemned her to less money for the rest of her life. Again, he filed because others told him, well, you better get your money while Social Security is still there. And it's been over a year, so there's nothing we can do about it. They're locked into it. It's a very sad story. So let's talk about what we do. I hope I've given you information here today that will help you get thinking about and started on filing for your benefits. But what we do is we work with clients and we analyze their situation. We put together a presentation. We gather information like your marital status, past, present divorce, any divorces in the history for you or your spouse. What's your work history? You know, what are your family needs? What do you need income-wise right now? What are you going to need in the future? What are your working plans? Do you want to keep working or do you want to get out of work? We also need to see what the numbers on your current Social Security benefit statement. And we also need to know what your situation is with your 401k and pension plans and any other investments and savings. And by the way, while we're talking about this, we work with our clients, advise them on how to invest the money at retirement time and moving it from 401ks and pension plans and getting it into their own personal IRAs, and how to get that money out and how to combine that with their Social Security. So it's very important for us to talk about those things. And we get that information, we'll put together a strategy that's just your strategy. And to be honest with you, we worked with a lot of people, and rarely do we do the exact same strategy 2 times in a row with anybody. I mean, everybody's different. But we can put together a report. It has 16 to 20 pages. It's going to include specific dates about when you should start your benefits, and it compares different strategies. If you want to see what if I start benefits now versus what if I wait 4 or 5 years, we can compare those, and you can see how much money you'll get. We have charts and graphs that make it easy to understand if you start your benefits early or when we recommend. If you live a long lifespan or a short lifespan, you can see the differences you're looking at in potential income down the road. We'll give you graphs that show what your income would be throughout your lifetime, what you can expect. And then we'll also give you a chart like this right here that gives you exact dates and times. So in this case here, Mary begins her benefits based on her earnings record in October 2012. This is one we did a few years ago at age 62 and 1 month. John files a restricted application for spousal benefits in June 2016 at age 66. And then later on, John switches to benefits based on his earnings in 2018 at age 70, and so on. This is actually laid out, so you just keep this there on those dates. You go online, you file exactly like we say, and your benefits will be just like we've described. We include charts that will show how much your benefit would be if you start early versus recommended. Edwards and Sarah's incomes here, comparing it if they wait. And there is a break-even point. For example, if you're going to die generally before age 78, you're going to be further ahead if both of you are going to die before that age to take your benefits early. But around 78 is a break-even point. And in this case here, Edward is supposed to live to age 83, and if he takes the benefits when we recommend versus starting early, they will have earned almost $164,000 more by delaying their benefits and starting at the recommended ages, which in this case is age 66. They're going to start their benefits and then increase them as time goes on. Now, what if Edward lives a longer time? If he lives to age 91, they're going to have over $300,000 more in benefits. So there's a great amount of earnings there that can grow into planning properly. So you want to take your Social Security statements, your strategies, figure it in with your other savings, investments, and working plans, and put together a plan. So what do we charge to do this? Well, we charge $500. And it's a very, very small fee to pay if you're going to earn $200,000 or $300,000 more in Social Security. If you call my office in the next 5 days, though, you'll be able to save $100. We'll knock $100 off of that. So if you want to get going on it right away, call our office immediately, and let's get that going. Additionally, if you have any friends that you think would benefit from this information, if you refer them to us and have them call us, you'll also save another $100. So this could be knocked off to $300 if you get going right away, and if you have any friends that you went to school with or you work with or that could use some help. Let's get this going. But you have to act fast. After 5 days, discounts no longer apply. So a lot of times our clients are telling us, okay, this is great information. We're both 62 or 63. We're going to wait until we're 66 and we'll come in and get a report at that time. Not a good idea. Like we showed you earlier, some people should be filing at age 62, and there might be some things you could be doing right now. In fact, some of the people who are going to be watching this, some of you should have started your benefits before now. You're losing out on money right now. So get in touch with us right now. Let's figure this out. Maybe you should be waiting. There's a chance you should have started earlier too, but don't lose out on your money. And thank you so much for sitting and attending our seminar here today. Here's the information. I'm going to leave this up on the screen. My name is Jan Davis. There is my email address, our website. And here's the phone number to our office. If you call this number within the next 5 days, we can save $100 off this report. So even if you don't work with us, I hope we've given you some information to help you, because this is such an important decision. And you know, the numbers are something like 94-95% of Americans are not filing properly. And don't be one of those. Be one of the few that actually file properly and get the most out of your benefits. It's such an important decision. But thank you very much for listening and attending today. Jot this information down. Please call or email me as soon as you can, and let's get going on a plan for you. Thank you.